Is it possible for someone in their 60s to keep up with someone in their 20s in the weight room? The answer might surprise you. Now, if we ran an experiment and we took a 60-year-old and a 20-year-old that have never lifted weights before, and we put them through an identical strength training program, we would expect both of them to gain strength and muscle, but how much more, if any, would the 20-year-old gain over the 60-year-old? Would the 60-year-old just end up injured with joint pain and stiffness while the 20-year-old becomes Hercules? Or can someone in their 60s keep up when it comes to building strength and muscle in the gym? If we ran this experiment, here's what would happen. We would expect both the 60-year-old and the 20-year-old to both gain strength and muscle. This is well documented. People over 60 do respond to strength training by getting stronger muscles and bigger muscles. But the question still is, how much compared to a 20-year-old? Now, after 12 years of working with adults over 60, the number one thing that I hear is that it's not as easy as it used to be to stay in shape. Now, while that may be true, the data paints a different picture. We ran an experiment with someone that's, say, 65 and someone that's 25. We ran them through the same strength training program, both eating adequate protein, both getting adequate recovery time, so sleep. We would expect very similar gains in strength in the 65-year-old and the 25-year-old. And if you don't believe me, my client Doug is 68. He's lost 30 pounds and recently did 40 pull-ups in 30 minutes without assistance at 68. Or my client Mary, who's in her 70s and deadlifts over 120 pounds. People over 60 can reliably build strength, mostly because gaining strength doesn't rely on muscle size. Gaining strength is mostly a neural phenomenon. Our nervous system gets better at generating power. This happens whether you're 95 or 25. The nervous system is very adaptable and very susceptible to training. This is how I can take clients in their 60s and 70s and make them stronger than they were 20 years ago. The ability to gain strength is clearly not dependent on age. So we would expect the 65-year-old to gain as much strength as someone who's 25, assuming they're doing the same structure of strength training program. Part of the problem why people over 65 have trouble getting stronger is that they've spent the last 40 years actively getting weaker. After the age of 20 or 30, most people stop lifting weights. You have 40 years of deconditioning and 40 years of getting weaker. Of course, by the time you're 60, it's going to be tough to get strong. The other glaring problem is that the market doesn't match what actually works for people over 60. The things that are offered for strength training when it comes to people over 60 are typically done with things like water aerobics and seated chair yoga and near worthless band exercises. Now, the oldest person that I've trained is 102, and every time Phil came to exercise class, we didn't sit in a chair. We sat in a chair for the introduction, and then I made everybody stand up and start moving. Because we need to make sure that the exercises that people even over 100 are doing, if they're looking to improve, involve something more strenuous than their daily living. So the problem that people have gaining strength over 60 isn't because they're over 60, it's because they're undertrained and underserved in the market. Do a quick Google or YouTube search for strength training over 60. What you'll find is basically choreographed step aerobics class, which really don't make anyone stronger, whether you're 25 or 65. Back to our experiment. We know that the 65-year-old will build as much strength as the 25-year-old, assuming the program is the same, recovery is good, and nutrition is good. Now here's the catch. As you age, there is a thing called anabolic resistance. In this experiment, we know that the 65-year-old won't gain as much muscle mass as the 25-year-old. This is true. And for some people, that may be discouraging. But with adequate strength training, adequate protein intake, and adequate recovery, meaning sleep and stress reduction, the 65-year-old will build muscle, just not as much as the 25-year-old. So if you're over 65 and you want to get stronger, I made this YouTube channel specifically for you. I've been coaching and training older adults for 12 years. The oldest person I've worked with is 102, and I've seen people in their 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and even over 100 double their strength in just a few months. Strength is a variable that nearly everyone can adjust, no matter your age. But you need to make sure that you're training with enough intensity to drive the change that you're looking for. People over 60 need predictable, safe, but challenging strength training in order to get the strength that they desire. So if this is something that you're interested in, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, turn on your notifications, and give this video a like, because people over 60 deserve better than what's currently available on the market.